Hey, thanks for jumping into Leanne On Demand today. I'm excited to share this conversation I had with my legend of a co-facilitator. Her name is Sally Prosser, and together we host a half-day experience called Get to the Point. And we are on to season 3 now. It is coming back. It's on April the 1st in Brisbane. I jumped on the podcast microphone with Sally to talk about season 3 and what that looks like and what we've learned from the first 2 seasons of hosting this experience. If you'd like to join us for the April 1st session, I'll link to that in the show notes for this one, or visit my website, or again, reach out on all the socials. And in the spirit of getting to the point, enjoy the episode and I'll speak to you tomorrow.
Leanne, it is such a pleasure to chat with you as usual. How are you?
I'm doing well, Sal. It's been too long.
It has. And seeing you do a podcast every single day of 2025, how are you going with it?
You're the queen of speaking up for your business. I call myself a self-designated thought breeder. And it's like, do I have 365 ideas in me? Yeah, I think I do. So it was more of a personal challenge than anything. A really fun creative project. And I'm seeing a lot more in the world. I'm observing a bit more and thinking about key lines that I can then riff on the show. So it's been really fun.
Yeah. And articulating your words out loud helps you synthesize them.
Exactly. And so my goal is, at the moment, I'm doing light editing because I don't have time to edit these things. I'm hoping within maybe 100, 150 days, there's no need to edit. And I'm just so good. There's no filler words. I don't overthink something. So really, it's more, I guess, a personal development type of thing as well, just being able to use a voice and get to the point quite quickly as well.
Yeah, it's such a good segue, isn't it? So we have been running our Get to the Point workshop. We've done it twice and it's coming up to the 3rd time now. How have you been finding co-presenting with me?
I love co-presenting with you. It's like almost like a holiday. When you facilitate on your own, you're in charge of absolutely everything. And to have a co-host that is as capable and talented and fun to hang out with as you, it's absolutely not work. It's like a highlight in the calendar. And I think our styles are quite different as well. So it's lovely to see how our styles can also complement each other for the workshop and what people latch onto. What are your thoughts on co-facilitating as well?
Leanne, likewise. It's such a sigh of relief to have such an experience. You are the queen of facilitation. The 2-hour workshop blueprint, which, by the way, if you come to the workshop, you get a copy of that. It's so great. And I found that the 2 times we've run it, it's been such a success, and the feedback coming in has been so good. People have said, oh my gosh, I've walked out of that room, made a change to my video I put on social, or made a change to my meeting I had with a client, and immediately I had a better result.
And that means the world to me because, we both know we've been guest participants in other workshops where you walk away thinking, great, really helpful at a philosophical level, and maybe I've got some reframes in mind, but how do I actually use this? And you're right, in that WhatsApp group that we create, I think we've even had stories of people like the next day might have done a piece of content for LinkedIn and they've just really thought about how to sharpen that. It's direct value. It's direct ROI, I should say.
Yeah, 100%. And people even coming back to the WhatsApp group, weeks after, months after the workshop saying, hey, just checking in, letting you know I'm still using these techniques, and they're so great.
Sometimes the gold is actually revisiting it and you pull out different threads. Because what I found interesting in our program, both the times we run it, they've been really different experiences. Do you remember the first group was it kind of felt like an extrovert party. It was loud. And the second group was more considered, same workshop, same facilitators, just a different group with the people that are there. And some people pick up on, they love the sway framework. Other people think the launch questions. You never really know what our group will really latch onto.
Yeah. And 2 things there. The first one is, it shows that getting to the point and being a strong communicator has nothing to do with whether you're an extrovert or an introvert.
Mm.
And so everybody is welcome in this workshop. Don't feel like you have to stand up and speak on your own and you're all, on the spot, even though I guarantee that you'll want to by the end because that's just the environment we create. And the second thing is, yes, the launch questions. That's one of my favorite parts of the workshop. Just briefly explain, without giving too much away, what the launch questions are designed to do.
It's really to establish where your group is at. Because often I've discovered when you're hosting a workshop, you could be running it to people that are maybe even more experienced in a topic than you are, or maybe have had no exposure to the topic. And typically, if we're an expert, we think that no one might know, no one else knows what we know, but adult learners, they've got real world experience. And so you sort of want to figure out, where do you launch your expertise from? Where do you launch your explanation from? Or discussion because you want to know what the assumed knowledge is. And so I always use launch questions either like beforehand or, even during a panel, like just to find out like who are the people in the group here. It lets me sort of focus my effort and energy and direct a conversation that's more valuable as opposed to telling people what they might already know or sharing concepts and language that they have no idea what that actually means.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's leading with curiosity. And it reminds me of a big shift that we have in the workshop. It's a quote that we use: what you lack in confidence, you tend to make up for in words, the Jim Rohn quote.
Yeah. and even like feeling the pressure to fill a silence or to just give more and more content, thinking that more content equals more value.
Value isn't in volume, as I say.
Oh, that's so, well, say that again, Sal. That's worth repeating.
Oh, value isn't in volume.
That is really powerful. We should add that to our little manifesto that we've got.
Yes, I love it that we start off the workshop with a manifesto. So for me, the launch questions, I love that. I really like, of course, a couple of the voice exercises we do. You may or may not get to throw things at us, which is always fun in a workshop. What about for you? What's the standout of the workshop for you?
I love your sway technique. And that's something that I picked up just from being in the workshop and co-facilitating with you that I've used in panel interviews. I've used it on Zoom calls because it directs energy. It's a beautiful sequencing of your voice. So I don't want to give your acronym away, but yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, and that's what's so great about this workshop is you do get the practical framework. So there's the baton technique to move things along. There's the sway technique for the storytelling. There's the launch questions. And it really is a masterclass, thanks to you, Leanne. And I've done a lot of facilitating as well in how not to make a workshop boring, bringing in all the different elements of movement and questioning and pair and share and, all of those things. So if you are somebody who does facilitate any sort of workshops, I highly recommend to come along just to see the master at work.
Oh, that's you, Sal. And I think you talked about contrast there, like all the different things we do to mix it up. I think the ultimate contrast is sharing of voices. So your voice, my voice, the voice of the group as well. Like that's such an easy way to bring in that contrast as well.
Yeah. So I mentioned if you do any sort of facilitating of meetings or workshops, 100% this is going to be on the money for you. What are some other scenarios people might find themselves speaking in that this would be useful for?
Yeah, I think it's everyday applicable. So, but again, I don't want to be too generic here, but I think panels are a really great because in a panel, often you have to nail a point quite quickly. I think in content, like your content strategy as well, even in written format, it's really helpful. I think in meetings, especially, like how do you, using a format like Sway, like share a point to be persuasive and influence a result. So there's many different formats. And I think the good news is like we're not prescriptive about that. And I think many of the people in the group are like, oh, great, I can take this into my board meeting. Or, oh, great, I'm hosting a podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Or what a great idea for social content. Or what a great idea to answer questions as a podcast guest.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's even a little bit you can use with media interviews as well.
Oh, of course. That's your strong suit.
Yeah. Yeah, I do full other workshops just on media techniques, but with everything going on in the world at the moment, there's so many great examples of what to do and not to do in the media. And that's another thing in the workshop. We have some really up-to-date, fantastic examples of people getting to the point very well and even giving too little. So there is such thing as not giving enough information.
Yeah, there's that really kind of cringeworthy Mike Tyson interview, which is like you feel the cringe in the room and it's just funny to debrief.
So, Leanne, is there anything else you wanted to add?
I think it's what I most love about this as well is apart from like the value from the actual day and the experience is the network that you get to meet. We have a really dynamic group of people that always show up that are highly engaged, that want to do better with their lives, and there's like just some wonderful people to meet as well. So I think any opportunity to invest in your own learning, particularly in a face-to-face environment. I mean, I do a lot of online, but nothing beats in person, to be honest. So I'd encourage you, if you're on the hesitation station, like back yourself.
Oh, I love your hesitation station phrase. Yeah, get on that train and get off that station. Amazing. So we are doing this workshop on April Fool's Day. It is not a prank. It is not a joke. We will be there. And If it's any consolation, I actually hate pranks. Ever since I was younger and somebody gave me a spoonful of wasabi and told me it was guacamole, I have been
Oh,
anti-prank ever since that day. So,
yeah, me too. Like it is a kind of bit. Maybe there comes an age, but that is an awful prank. I'd be, how hideous. That's actually really cruel. That's super
I
cruel.
know. And it was followed up by, did you know they took gullible out of the dictionary? And I was at an age where I was like, oh, really? Anyway, so I haven't got a good relationship with pranks. So not an April Fool's Day. We will be getting to the point on April 1st. The early bird price for the tickets, which is half the regular price, finishes on March 18, 2 weeks before. So if you are thinking of coming, then get your ticket now before March 18.
Yeah, good call out. And Sal, yeah, thanks for the opportunity to chat about this and just be in your orbit. Like, I love the work that you do and how you show up for businesses, and just yourself, and I just love that confidence. I think it rubs off on all of us as we see you progress.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Leanne. Right back at you. You're very, very inspiring. And it's so powerful to be in the orbit of people doing really cool things with really good heart. And I feel that because we have a similar vibe, which is why we're friends. And then the people that we attract to our workshops have that similar vibe and energy. And it's so beautiful to be part of. And we go for drinks afterwards,
Oh,
usually.
yeah, we have an after party. That was a really fun addition to the last one. I'll have to put that time in my calendar, just remember after parties on. Oh, so fun.
Yeah. So great. Well, you can follow me on Instagram at Sally Prosser Voice or at That Voice Podcast. Leanne, what are your handles?
Yeah, at Leanne Hughes, and I podcast daily on Leanne On Demand.
Amazing. And I'll put the link to sign up for the workshop in the show notes, and you can also reach out to either of us and we'll be able to give you more info. Leanne, so great to chat. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Legend. Thank you.